You guys can join. Abhay, it's not possible, right? Because there are many candidates who have requested. Like there are only, it's not like that. There are only North Indian candidates. There are like South Indian candidates too. Okay. Dipesh and Nikhil, could you share the link in the WhatsApp group? I will maybe pin it. We have wasted so much time today, but it's better that this it is not happening in actual sessions. You guys can switch to the other call, right? He has shared the link. I have already joined on that call.
Well, मेरी meeting ही चल
People are doing this training. This was supposed to be a very generic call, not like a session, but okay. Is everyone in the call? Oh, wow, we got reactions to in this one. Is everyone in the call? Oh, wow, we got reactions to in this one. Doing this generic call. Yeah, Akash, I guess. Person named Akash. No, no, sorry. What was um, Nikhil? I guess Nikhil Patel. So should we start? Like, have everyone joined? But I will confirm on WhatsApp. I guess everyone can join the meet, right? Like, okay. Okay. So Let's start with the session. So the first query was regarding the DSA problems. So specifically, what could be the routine in interviews, right? Like clarifying question, examples, diagram, code to convince the interviewer and proceed to the next problem, right? So for answering this question, I'm assuming that like the framework is related to only DSA rounds, not like the mixed rounds. Like there are mixed rounds, right? Like with LLD, HLDs, and DSA for like third party rounds, like bar raiser rounds and all. So I'm assuming that like this is typical like two round format or like sorry, two task format, right? And for that, I am answering this question. Uh, so the main thing is in this question for this task. Yeah. So how you communicate to the interviewer, right? Like the first point is to get connected with the interviewer. So by connected, I'm not like the first important thing in DSA round is not wasting time on introduction, right? Like no one cares, to be honest, really. Like what people I have seen do is when they see someone work at Google, they get very fascinated of that stuff, and they ask like, "What stuff do you work on? What and blah blah blah." Like we don't need to do that, right? Just focus on the interview, just focus on your DSA round and nothing else, right? uh, okay. Okay, so when you start the interview, uh, just start like let him introduce himself, right? And don't try to introduce yourself in very detailed manner, like you are working the on this and you have worked on that and your current project is this. No one cares, to be honest. Just just answer it as short as possible, like I am working on some data analysis task and data migration task and over. Like some interview even get surprised for me that like I introduce myself in such a short way, but that doesn't mark their checkpoint, so it doesn't matter. Like for the communication perspective, the most important stuff is how you communicate your solution of the DSA task, not the first portion, like how you introduce yourself, right? So just keep it as fast as possible, right? Now, when you start the interview, now there are like various scenarios that could happen. uh, the interviewer starts the interview and he will start with like explaining the question, and he will just paste the task there. And the, like there are some lazy interviewers like me who will just paste the task, and I will make sure that like the candidate has gone through the task himself, and then I will explain the task to him. But there are also some interviewers who try to explain it via like they will try to communicate to you, like they will not write anything anywhere, just how to say it, like mm, so they will just explain the task to you and no test cases, nothing. Like this is the task, and then after that he will paste the task. So that is wasting so much time. So that wastes so much time. So what you could do here is ask the interviewer that like if possible, could you also write the task uh, when just at the start, like when you start the interview, just ask the interviewer to paste the task or like write down with that, like so you could get a better understanding. No interviewer will point anything negative in that, right? Or mark anything negative on that point, right? So it is better for you to go through that task itself, because like the moment you read the task, that's much faster than you trying to understand what he's saying, right? Because like the fastest way to understand the task is to look at the test cases rather than the statement
Nimala
is
John
always
Doe.
confusing. The most fastest way is to look at the test
John
cases,
Nimala.
right? And then figure out like what type of task it is, right? Like because like usually I start with looking at the test cases, like what the input format is. It like given a graph, is it given a array, or like what kind of task it is, bfs anything, like ad hoc kind of task, anything. And okay, so I will try to answer the question. Can you repeat? Mm. Acha, yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that. So, what happens with experienced person, na? So, usually it depends on person to person. Like, it's not very, you could say, uh, generic for every person, or like fixed. data point for every person. But like I have seen that like most interviewers, or usually you can experience it in companies also. Like if the candidate is a very interview experienced candidate, interviewer, so what happens is he usually is not involved much in the interview process. He is just doing it for like the sake of interviewing. Like he just need to do some kind of interview since he is doing that. Most likely is the case for experienced candidates. So they have very fixed set of tasks. Like they just ask what they know, and they don't ask us questions like solve some 2D graph question, some questions that like you can't people can't solve. So it's more like they know how to see the communication part, how to see the logic part, and they will just mark you higher, like most likely. But when fresher takes the interview, what he does is like he tries to mark various data points, like how candidate is thinking, how what kind of loop he involved, as and various kind of stuff he tries to involve in that. Like because like freshers are more keen to experiment on that stuff, right? Especially those with like good code forces ratings and all. Why are there only 98 candidates? Like there were like more than 100, na?
Don't know the reason.
How people left interview? Oh, sorry, this closed.
Like several of them left the meeting.
Acha, so why did we go through? Okay. Acha, okay, cool. Okay, no issues. Uh, okay. So yeah, so we were on the experience versus fresher now. So freshers are like more keen on experimenting stuff and everything. Like, but the thing is like they also don't have much experience in interviewing, na? So what they try to do is they will try to mark your answer, your data points to those checkpoints. Like they have checkpoints like communication skills, coding skills, and something like coding skills, and some other checkpoints are there. It depends on like various companies. Like Google has different checkpoints, but uh, there are like fixed ones. Like the communication is fixed in everything, the coding skills is fixed in everything, language knowledge is fixed in every company. uh, this three is fixed. I am not sure about the fourth one, but something like this, right? uh, you are a fresher. You are a fresher, yeah. Checkpoints of Google are mostly you need to solve the task. That's the most important thing you should know. That like you should be able to guess the complexity, guess the runtime complexity, everything in timely manner. The most important thing is uh, uh, I guess I have answered it in another query too. But like the most important thing is how you manage your time related to dry running, because most candidates can like explain the solution. Like this is the common process for every candidate, right? Uh, the age you any candidate can have over other candidates is on the dry running part. Like most candidates don't know this, how to dry run fast. Like anyone, no one focuses on this part, right? And this makes the interview process very random. Like someone will waste so much time on dry running. Like if you are running a binary search, why are you writing every array part, every thing itself? Like you can just mark the common part and the only write the changing part, right? Like how the git works, right? Like you just mark those changes. Yeah, bro. Could you add it to the query sessions? Like I will try to answer from that. What if I fail to all the tasks? Wait, we will go in a structured manner because like we have only oh, we have time. Okay, no issues, because like in this I will cover it. Okay. What if I how do should a three India candidate prepare for what should I focus on? The main point you should focus on is try to again it depends on company. Like I am asking question of Bhaskar, like how should a 3 year experienced candidate prepare for what things to focus on? Does really my personal projects matter, or is it coding skill? So we are focusing here on DSA part. So I will answer for DSA part, right? I am assuming that like you have got the interview, you are and you are preparing for it. Like I will not answer the other part as of now. So first thing, we are focusing on the DSA part, right? What should a 3 years experience candidate should focus on? So 3 years, for 3 years, you are interviewing for L4 role, right? And on the L4 role, the requirements are higher from L3 role, right? Most of the L4 candidates who like interview for L4 role in Google get down level for L3 role. The reason being, they are not good at problem solving, although I don't think it should matter much for like L4 role, but like anyways, that is the standard process for Google. So what should you how should you what should your strategy look like? The strategy should look like, the most fixed strategy for Google is just go through lead code, discuss, see other questions like what Google has asked in like past recent days, recent interview experiences, go through that and just try to solve those in time, like in time constraint manner, like in 45 minutes how should you explain that stuff. And most likely just try to come up with the solution first. The practice thing, that how you will explain it to the interviewer, that will come later. But the most important part is if you are able to solve that or not in the first part itself. If you are not able to solve, then it's no issue how you are communicating, how your coding is, and everything, like how your code has written. If your syntax is naming conventions and everything doesn't matter at all if you are not good at like problem solving for itself, right? uh, have I answered your question, Bhaskar? Like the TLDR is just go through interview experiences, like discuss. That's the most important stuff. Like for any company you are interviewing, the most important stuff is go through past interview experiences, prepare a sheet yourself. Don't go through like this prepared sheets, because like those are very generic. And because like if you have seen the Uber interview process, they ask like the quad tree question, and few questions are very highly repeated ones. Even in Meta there are like highly repeated ones. So like top 100 Meta, top 100 Uber, something like that you can prepare. Yeah, it will always help. Lead code premium always helps. But you could also like group share the account, like if you want. I don't do that because like I am earning now, but like you can do that as a student, like 3 or 4 people, because like you just want to test your solution and look at the task, no? Like nothing else matters. I guess it's around like 3,500 or 4,500 per month. I'm not exactly sure. Okay. So the next question of Arun Kumar is, what if I fail to solve the task, or the task is too hard, like the segment tree and explain the approach, will I get no higher? No, like first thing, remember is that like they are not concerned about your knowledge of DSAs, like data structures. Like do you know the linked tree? Do you know segment tree? Do you know that the string moving here and the rope cut tree, I guess. So don't, like many candidates know many stuff, like, but that doesn't matter to them, right? The your most important stuff is basic problem solving, like your logical skills. Most of the tasks are designed around that. Like even like the process of task selection in the question bank is like someone will submit the task, and if it is like too extreme, they will reject it. Or like if it is okay, they will select it. And even then after that, like interviewers will add their experiences, that like candidate took too much time, this task is not so good. So there might be a bad luck that there might this might be bad luck for you if that task is experimented on you. But highly likely that it will not happen, like the task will get rejected after getting selected to the question bank. So, and most of the candidates select from question bank, like they don't experiment a lot in terms of questions. I also do the same. Like I prepare for, I take the task from question bank and I just ask to the candidate. Uh, Now the coming to your main concern, that like what if I fail to solve the task, or task is too hard for you? Okay, so task is too hard for you. So main thing is, if you are, see, first thing is, if you are taking hints from the interviewer, right? uh, so don't do that first thing. Like usually the first thing is you should come up with the solution yourself. You don't need to take the help, or it will mark as like the negative point on that, like the candidate required too much hand holding, and you will be getting marked as no hire, right? Don't do that. Or just if the interviewer is pointing you or hinting you towards some thing, that like search in terms of array, search in terms of DSU, or like what could be done if this was the case, what could be done if that was the case. But in Google, what happens is they give you some initial task that is subset of the original task. So if you solve the first task, the second task is dependent on that, right? So if the task is too hard, like the segment tree, you should know that you are going in a wrong way. Usually task is not hard, like if you are thinking that like oh my god, I am being very unlucky and this task is hard, then you are thinking wrong. The task is easy. Either you need to not solve that way, the segmentary way, or you need to solve it some other way, using a stack, using anything, or just try to think first in a brute force manner, like the most simplistic approach. Like go through the most simplistic approach, don't panic, just try the most simplistic approach. What's the rating range? It's I'm not sure in terms of code forces, but in terms of puzzle based, I could say 1500 to 1800 it could be, I guess, like not much. I'm not sure that like rating decides the difficulty factor for like the Google interview task. It's more like the temperament, interviewer mindset. There are various parameters for this, but the rating is the least one that like you should be concerned of, like what is the rating of this task. Okay. So I will also explain all the points. Okay. The most interview candidate overlook is communication. Interviewer rhythm, na. So this point, so what exactly he wants? Like if interviewer is not sharing with you that like what's the interview process, like how many tasks it will be, you should ask him yourself, like how much time I should be focusing on, like for the first task, second task, and or like don't ask this stuff if you are aware of this, because like Google and Uber, Uber and other companies, there are like various very specific. So don't ask this question if you already know the process. Uh, but it's better to ask sometimes, because like some candidates, some interviewers will just ask you one question instead of two, but most likely it will be two tasks. Uh, yeah. So the more experienced you become, like you are more good at like how much time it will take for solving the task, how much time it will take for like communication and everything, and dry running. And as I said, like dry running is the best skill you could develop in for the interview. Like that should be, you should focus on, you should be focusing on. Uh, Clean code, yeah. So the clean code is very generic. Okay. So the clean code is very generic. Like the C++ template I use is very generic, like using constant, using references if the values are not changing. Uh, Sorry, what was the emoji for? Okay. So the clean coding part, you should use like the constant in Java. The naming conventions are also there. Like how should you name? Uh, what should you name the variable, right? Like if the task is too tough, then you are doing the wrong thing. That because like if the ID is not autocomplete, right? If the ID has no autocomplete option, then you are doing very wrong in naming, uh, using long names. You should not use long name in that case. You should just use short names that could be changed later, like after like when interviewer is trying to understand your code, like it will always happen that interviewer, after you explain it to him, he will try to go through your code and he will try to dry run it himself. So at that time you can make the changes in the naming conventions, like whatever name you set for your variables, you can change at that time. Wow, like first query only took uh, 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. So should I start with the next query, or like do anyone have any other questions or like queries on this first one? Okay. So the next query was about the improvement in ratings on competitive or online judges, right? So I wanted to answer this question, but this is very deep topic and not could not be answered in such a straight manner. I have planned a session on this for this purpose only, but still I will try to answer that every in a way that every person answer other person answers that first thing is like the practice one. This is the most uh, common practice you could say for improving. Uh, yeah. Huh. So it depends on lot of parameters. First of all, how connected you feel with the regime of code forces and general problem solving, right? So what do you mean? What do I mean by regime of code forces and general problem solving? So when you start with code forces, now you will you will feel like how much do I know this stuff? Like most of the people will start in fourth year. Most of the people, many of them will start in third year or first year. So when you reach at third, fourth year, you will always have some kind of like language knowledge like C++, Java, or any other language. But like when you start in first year, when I started in I guess second year, I guess. So at that time, I didn't have much of language knowledge for like C++, I guess. No, I started with C. I don't remember. Okay. So when you start on code forces, how much connected you feel with the pattern on that? For me, it was very difficult to grasp on stuff because like I have never solved such things before, right? Because uh, we are not used to solve those tasks, right? Before. So if we don't have any idea, it will be getting more tough to understand this. And nowadays there are like various YouTube editorials and all, but like at my time there were none. So we just what I used to do was like go through every solution code and try to understand like what that person was doing. And I was also fascinated at my time by how short each code is written. Like there is some kind of submission size in code forces that people used to submit in Python, and it has very small code. I used to get fascinated by that. uh, but for the rating improvement part, like when I started, I didn't have any idea how to improve, right? So I was doing experiment myself, or like my target was not to improve the rating itself. Like that was my first target, that I just wanted to learn DSA or like learn more topics, because in my college there was no competition for rating and all, so I was not concerned about rating at all. Like I was just focused on learning DSA stuff. Like there were like Gaurav Sen videos at that time, so I used to watch segmentary. Like even at the start I was watching segmentary, like which was very wrong. That usually you should not focus on segmentary at the start. You should solve very classical tasks based on trees, graphs. uh, like this striver sheet is very good for that. How should you get started? Those tasks are like very classical tasks, and you could solve that. So how to reach code forces? 1520 2000 lead code. Okay. uh, 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 uh. Okay, so how much connected you feel depends. If you feel to disconnect in the stuff, just try to go through editorials. Just try to read editorials at max, as much as possible, right? Because if you don't read those editorials, you will not get those mathematical patterns in your head. Understanding those mathematical patterns is more important than just solving those tasks yourself, because sometimes you need to improve. You need something in your mind to improve upon. If that is not the case, then you are not improving at all. You are just experimenting, and you will even forget what you have experimented upon. Like you should have a certain data point that you are working upon, that you need to work, right? So when you read the editorials, they have very nowadays editorials are very good. The previous editorials were not that good and not very much beginner friendly. Nowadays editorials have like they give hints on that stuff. So editorials are very good nowadays. Like reading editorials is very good at this time. And you could also solve ad coder is best. Ad coder is best for like speed improvement. Like the most important stuff for reaching 1900 is speed. It's not the knowledge of DSA, it's the speed. like uh, like if you know Dipanshu Pandey, like he has the most highest streak in India, I guess, for like code forces. He used to solve tasks, but like the most important parameter for him reaching that candidate master rating was his speed, because like he has solved so many tasks and his speed is very high. And same for other master level candidates and every other candidate. For me, it's very different. I solve on very knowledge based pattern. Like I will not try to solve fast, like type fast or solve fast. I will try to solve harder tasks, like the task that other people can't solve, I will solve that, and I will get the rating increment. But for reaching 1900, the speed factor is very easy way to gain rating. So if you can improve upon speed, you will you will getting edge over other candidates, because like solving harder tasks that have very high difficulty ratings uh, requires much more efforts and time as compared to just working on your speed of solving. Okay. Also, am I speaking too fast, or like is everyone understanding what I'm saying? Is everyone with me? Okay. So okay, 93 candidates are there. I'm happy that like 93, at least 93 are there. I thought like everyone will leave this meeting. Okay. Uh, yeah, bro. Deepak, right? Like, who has raised a hand? You can ask your query, bro. Open queue. Okay. Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Who wants to ask? Like, you can ask. How to code? Are people raised hand? Na? Like, I thought like they have some queries. Aryan have put the comment that like bro try to go in more depth. Okay, okay. So like I have planned a different session for this, which have like some framework defined for you, like what category you fit in and how you are feeling right now. Depending on that, what should be your choices? Like artificial AI by me. Okay. So artificial intelligence by me for that situation you are stuck in, right? Answering that query. So that will be a complete different session for this. I will be writing on doc also, and also a different session for this. For the okay, this has resolved the query of Aryan. For Srishti, sir, how to like go deep with the concept you talk about right now for CP? So first of all, please don't call me sir, and then just call me bro or like anything. So how to think deep, or like with the concept you talk about right now for CP. So see, don't try to be like someone at the start, because I am experienced. I am like hugely experienced with this stuff, like uh, discussing with highly experienced candidates and going through Olympiad code, and even I have access to accounts like that people prepare for like their IOI and all. Like I have also access to that, and I have been connected. I have been connected with various people. But if the average coder wants to improve like this, how should he do that? He should work on first, like how to just improve his ratings, right? Like first try to start with a very basic thought process. Like start with solving puzzles that could improve your thought process. Start with solving tasks that could work in a structured manner. And the book I shared with you, right? Like how to think logically. Like the most important step is to, that I will also cover in DP, dynamic programming sessions, or like graph sessions also. I will introduce the baseline thinking in that in the starting session, graph sessions. So what happens in that, like you need to work on blocks, like uh, how to re- uh, uh, how to make that block for yourself. Like there are like separate, when you read the topic, what understanding do you have, what states you will get from that task, what type of understanding you have on constraints, like when you see the input constraints, right? And after you get understanding the task, you will think in terms of like basically in terms of like edge cases, in terms of like mathematical recursion. Mathematical recursion is basically induction. So think it for h- uh, like various types of proofs, like how you prove the concept. And like it's a deep topic, I could say. I'm not sure how to answer it in very simple manner, but mm, it's more like the mathematical experience do you get over the overall journey, like your CP journey, right? And this, even with that CP journey, you will not get knowledge of those tasks that you need, because as I said, right, like that when I was uh, participating in CP contest, my aim was not for rating at all. Like my aim was to solve harder tasks. Like that was my main concern. Even in long challenges, I used to solve only hard tasks and uh, let go the easy ones, because like I was lazy to solve that. That used to give me kick. So my knowledge was improved upon solving those hard tasks that were not made for me, at least at that time. And I used to work so much hard to understand that task, because like I used to think like the rumination, right? You know the rumination, that like the buffalo eats some stuff and ruminate it later. I used to do stuff like that, like process that stuff in my mind, just reading after a task. I will read that statement, I will try to understand that what's the significance of that specific statement that some person has put there. So I could derive some various meanings on that, various. It could be branched out on various things, like understanding for that stuff. So that's how you can go deep with the mathematical concept, by rumination, basically. So working on, but the TLDR is basically just solve more tasks and get familiar with the maths on code forces itself. And try to read some, it's not like to improve upon CP, you just need to improve upon CP. You need to improve upon other things too, like you can improve upon like how your puzzle solving skills are there. Go on like puzzles.stack exchange and see how thought process of people works exactly. If you have seen Amnik, he solves various things. He participates in puzzle contests and everything on his Telegram group, and various other stuff. Like people go through this optimization challenges, people go through various other stuff. So that's how you improve upon CP, like at least for the deep understanding. Because like when you are fixed in one domain, like your thinking is very restricted. But if you open your thinking for other fields too, like the puzzles related to this field, not exactly like uh, you could learn related to CP, like puzzle solving, everything, like algorithms, deep algorithms, AI, everything. So that will expand your knowledge, not just being specific to CP. Like be open to everything. Does that answer your question, Srishti? Yes, it's relevant. Is Srishti is there? Okay. I will go ahead if you. Hi, sir. Okay. Hi, sir. Good enough rating on lead code, able to understand DSA topics, but can't understand code forces problem. Math is still doable, but can't build intuition on ad hoc observation and such topics. How to approach this? See, first thing you need to do is the building blocks, right? Whenever you are trying to construct a building, you are trying to work on those building blocks itself first. Like you need the strong holder for that building to be constructed upon, right? For everything. So when you say like how should I improve upon, how should I improve my intuition upon ad hoc or observation and such topics, you need to be very specific. Like how should I improve my skills upon ad hoc? Like what exactly ad hoc is? Ad hoc is basically just a puzzle. right? It's just a puzzle that they have given to you and you need to solve it yourself, right? That's the meaning of ad hoc, because like there is not specific pattern to that, right? So more ad hoc task you solve, more you get familiar with the pattern. But even if it's tagged as ad hoc, like the more experienced you become, you can still apply the graph task or any other common pattern to that task also. That will also help in ad hoc task. It's not necessary that like to improve ad hoc you should only solve ad hoc, but it's generally recommended that to improve the intuition on ad hoc, to just solve ad hoc task. So and about the improvement on observation, how to improve the observation. So again, like every query each person is asking here can be just answered as practice more. But again, like I will try to what I'm trying to do is basically I'm trying to construct a framework for like each thing uh, to do in detailed manner. Like if you are like every query like for today and like the observation ad hoc, like I will try to build some kind of like framework for you to think upon, to just go through. Like when you solve those code forces tasks, you can go through that framework and check upon like check those things that is mentioned in the framework, right? So I will answer that in much detailed manner in my session. I could think it like that, like instead of like just answering here, because that's a very deep topic, I could say. Uh, I will answer the Sandesh question. Okay, one query I have is how to get interested and comfortable in maths. I'm somewhat good with algo, but maths is where I lack. Those with hidden GCD and others, it does not. It never will. Like by never will, I meant like it is sometimes tough. Like it will be getting tough for you, for at least even for some people. Like even with me it was tough for at start, but the more you are experienced with this stuff, you will be getting insights on that, like how to go do with this. And there is also common pattern that like some people minds work like this, that they read stuff and uh, in the deep conscious subconscious or in their subconscious mind, this stuff and thinking process is going on like in their subconscious mind. They are not thinking in their conscious mind, but in subconscious mind this will get on accumulating over time. And what happens is after 3 months you will see a sudden rating improvement in everything, right? Like there will be a plateau, and then there will be sudden increment in your rating and all. Like this happens with many candidates, because like you will accumulate all your experiences, and the connection of dots process will start over time. And the thing is, like what most candidates do is they think maths as like some topics, like uh, maybe it like GCD, maybe it like Mobius, maybe it like CU. And so what they try to do is try to solve those tasks on CSCS and try to think that like, okay, this is the maths I needed. But the actual maths that we need is more structured, more oriented towards like you could say the maths olympiad, right? Like when people prepare for like maths olympiad, the way tasks are asked those in maths olympiad are similar to very similar to those asked in code forces, because like those are the people who make those tasks. And asking GCD is in IOI syllabus, right? So what they try to do is ask something similar to that. So to improve upon those GCD tasks, what you could do is go to art of problem solving site and look at some discussions, how do people think there, and uh, getting it in your routine, right? Like get it in your daily routine, that like if you do it daily, you should be understanding and you should be getting more comfortable with math tasks. How much time did it take to you reach at this level? Like, I'm not understanding. Like, are you asking about this rating stuff or like knowledge stuff? Because like knowledge, I have worked very long time. Like, it's very long time, more than 4 years, maybe. 4 years. 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 Do you think it is good to go through the DSA tutorial for influencers or recommended to us? I would suggest Raj, like the Strivers course. But thing is, he has explained in very, he has covered all the topics, but the intuition to think upon, he has not given you that. Like he has just covered because like, he need to cover all those because like people needed that. But when you need to develop the intuition, it's very different, right? So that part I am focusing upon to do that differently in the upcoming sessions. But I think courses of I have not seen other YouTuber courses because like Raj was the only one I used to see, like not for studying, but like whenever he started new, he also showed it to me, so I go went through that like all his. Thanks. In my college, we call our seniors. Acha, okay, okay, cool. Bro, in my product place interview, is it mandatory to implement brute force approach or explanation is enough? Don't never go with brute force. If you know the best optimal solution, go with optimal solution. Don't waste your time. Brute force approach is more like you are not understanding anything, so you need some base point to think upon to relax your mind in that place. Because what happens in interview is like when you can't think about the solution, you panic, and the more you panic, like higher the chances that like you can't solve the task. No, I will not review some code forces handle as of now because uh, why is that the reason? Because I guess our planning or like our plan is to do something different right now. So we will do that later. Like that analysis is completely different. The rating improvement is very different part because it covers like as far as my experience goes, like it depends on individuals. Like what's your experience based like are you from IIT, are you from NIT, what's your peer group like look like, what's your mathematical background, what's your mathematical base, everything, right? And so the code forces handle I could look at, but like that will not give much indicator like how what's your exact need basically. Like doctor can't look at your face and just say that like these candidates need this medicine, right? Like I need to analyze in more detail, so I don't you do that review of code forces handle. Yeah. Okay. So like don't try and approach this GCD and all in similar like sorting other, but reading in depth topics and trying to happen. Yeah, like there is no fixed algorithm to this, but more like you try, you do trial and error. Then the more you gain experience, you get better at trial and error. That's the thing. Like uh, you know that like how to think in that stuff, you will get much more higher intuition that like okay, this will not work in this task will can't be solved in this fashion. So that way you can learn for other tasks. Do interviews run the code that they make us write on Google Docs? Depends on company. Like for Google, they don't do that. For whichever company round is based on like some kind of ID that does not have running uh, functionality, they don't do that. Any suggestion for behavior? No, we are not discussing that right now. Uh, I got sliding window maximum problems 2 weeks ago. What can be better? We will do that thing later after this session. First, we'll go over generic queries. 2021 graduate. Uh, uh, for non-seen question. I also trying to do LLD, HLD. We are not discussing. Facing with the intuition. Not seeing question. I have mentioned these points in my this query session for answer doc, but I will also go in much detail in my session for this. Like I have different sessions for everything because like this is very experimental stuff. I could say I have just this points I have written before 1 hour. Like but I have a much detailed talk covering every person's lacking. You could say that like where every person could lack and what they could improve upon. yeah, coder pad interviewers, and some people don't run them, but they do it for like uh, uh, if they think that like these candidate like they have fixed set of test cases that they could test that like most candidates fail upon, and what they try to do is they copy paste on some other ID, and then uh, they copy paste on some other ID, and then they try to run their that code. If it's working correctly, like if giving the correct output instead of like dry running themselves, like some candidate do that. Yeah. Again, the same question, I guess, with the intuition one. I will be covering much more depth in the sessions. So, okay. So what is, I will try to answer this question, like what is the best way to practice CP, solving topic wise while learning theoretical concept, or solving rating wise that are outside the comfort zone? Uh, 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 yeah, okay. So again, the same answer, right? Like um, individual preferences, like individual requirement, basically what the candidates needs is the most important thing. But the most common one is like to improve upon X plus 200. Like there is like some Discord bot on code forces that you could use. I guess the name is TLE bot, I'm not exactly sure. And I also, I guess, from that TLE bot, Priyansh has choose his channel name as TLE, I guess, I'm not sure. So that TLE bot you can use to suggest like what code forces task you could use for your handle. Like it's like code forces, some kind of bot command on that you could use. From where to practice question for placement CP for lead code. Acha, I missed this question. Kya? One second. CP lead code. Fine. PSA sheets are good if you wanna know like what kind of problem patterns are there. Like, but to practice, you need to work on those similar patterns. Like there should be more number of tasks on that specific concept, and yeah, that should be there. You, but the one thing you should do is try to remember every question in DSA sheet. That should be by your heart. Like I guess driver sheet is good, so you could use that. uh, any resources where we can. By the way, I will also try to find some curated task for. I will not call it sheet because like I don't want to call it that because like the main purpose of defining those curated problems is very different than sheet. So I will not call it sheet, but some curated problems. And by curated problems, I mean I will also design some specific task for the purpose, like understanding, like let's say if you want to understand like 01 BFS, right? Like so what 01 BFS requires is basically how does the sorted set works on like two types of weights, like 0 and 1. So based on that you will be able to improve a much better than just like just understanding that like okay, just use DQ, push in front and pop from front. That does not work very good in good manner. Like basically when you implement Dijkstra code, not only you need some kind of like some kind of what's the word for that, mnemonic you could say, that like how you should be able to implement the code at much faster rate in interviews, right? So what you need to do is basically what other people do in their YouTube tutorials is they cover diaspora, they improve they explain the intuition behind that. But but the actual concept and the mnemonic technique for that should be also be explained by the interviewer, right? Like how you could like improve, what should be the point that should be noted to start with the diaspora code. Like is it like the distance manner, or is it like other fashion? Like what is the best suited for like interview, right? So that thing I will try to cover in my sessions. Mm. Basically the main target for like first week is to get you toward the mathematical base, right? Like to introduce toward the mathematical concept that will be required in further sessions. Like in the third and fourth weeks, or like say 2 3 4 weeks basically for the first month. That's the main target for like the first week, to just introduce you towards the mathematical understanding and mathematical blocks. And same mathematical blocks I will use for like the DP sessions, right? I will not go towards go by the way that like you need to understand like this string recursion DP, or like partition DP, or like various types of DP. Like because like I don't think in such a way, so I will try to make sure that like you also don't try to think in that way, but like in more concise manner, right? Because what people try to do in dynamic programming problems is they go via the similar pattern, like any kind of similar pattern they will do, and they will try to figure out in that way if it works out or not. But then there is other condition they get stuck in, like the base condition figure. How could you figure out the base condition? Like there are like various base condition, so that thing is very complex, right? And the most common framework people do is they try to implement the recursion, but they get stuck in the base condition. But if you think via another route, the base condition will not be required only. So that will I will try to improve in the DP sessions. uh, okay. What should be okay, so any resource ad hoc problem. So most of the code forces AB tasks are like ad hoc tasks. Most of the, because when contests are designed by candidate master, or like any candidate, any high rated coders, so what they are suggested is basically don't use any data structure on first code forces AB task. They are suggested to just design it as ad hoc as possible. So to improve your ad hoc logic, just solve code forces AB task daily. And if you want a challenge, like solve 10 of them in a day, because like those are very easy. And that the solving 10 in a day will make your brain very adapt to this kind of pattern solving, you could say, or improve your problem solving skills on that. What should be approach to yeah, so what should be approach to solve DSA problem? So this is very uh, I'm not sure how to answer this question, but like this was like a DSA task of what, like optimization task, interview task, CP task. Depends on task that you want, but like I assume that like it is needed for interview. So the first step is just understand the interview process, read experience of interviews on lead code, and just start up solving those tasks. Yeah, like the development of intuition part, I will be conducting session upon. This is no complex topic. Doing sheets can give confidence. As I said, right? Like sheets are useful for like revision stuff and knowing what concept you should know, but they are not useful for your own intuition development. Like if you are already good, then you can use, but like they are not good for like your intuition development. That part I will be focusing upon in my session. Work as acha, okay. Any suggestion on how do I prepare? Capital. Yeah, okay. So again, this is company dependent. Like Google, like Amazon Meta, like and corn firms. Corn firms are different. Google like is different, and Amazon Meta like is different. Amazon Meta is basically just you should know the task before. Like that's the best way to prepare for Amazon Meta. Google like is better to not know that task and solving it at that time when you are appearing for the interviews, right? Because in Google the thought process matters, but in Amazon Meta the solution matters. They want that specific data points that they need, but like when you try to think it from scratch and you don't know the solution, you will waste time. You will waste a lot of time because you need to solve that uh, two question in 40 minutes interview. So this is very wrong framework to test upon, but like they do that. Like they don't have idea how to test candidates, so they do that. Corn firms, yeah. So corn firms are very have very different interview process. Like it depends on various corn firms. But what you could do is as you become more experienced candidate, like the process looks more similar to, yeah. So if you want to go in some kind of research role, it's very difficult for as a non-IITian or people who don't have background towards this mathematical background, or you could say high rating in code forces on online judges. For them, quant firms are very difficult to crack, right? But if you wanna still take a chance on quant firms, what you could do is basically apply them as a experienced candidate, but for fresher roles and on the development side, not on the research side, and then work with the teams, uh, like connect with managers, discuss your requirement with them, and like connect with your connection with manager works much better. Like the more you know them, it works much better. Okay, so like for queries from here, like I didn't have much time, so I answered very fast. But like yeah, so the stock issue. So the thing is, why I wrote here like not everything is not for everyone, because okay, I will skip this question. I will ask. I will put it. I will I will explain this in my session, because like again this is a complex topic. All the aptitude thing and everything. I will explain this in my session. To support to build backend projects. Okay, the switch from quality. I'm not experienced with this kind of stuff, but like the generic answer is just to see the experiences. Most of put don't apply as a, like don't put experiences like you have worked as quality engineer or something like that. Put it as like you have worked on this, you have improved upon, you have worked on this project. Put experiences in such a way that it should look like you are working as a SD role. Like don't put your designation in resume and just apply to developer roles. That's it. No one cares. Like it will be in background check, but like background check doesn't care about like this stuff that you, if you have worked as quality engineer or anything. They just check the timeline that you have worked with some role. Does a working professional need to do CP considering level of question asking for? No, no, no. Definitely not at all. Uh, like Google is very random, but like they still ask that tasks are solvable. It's not like they ask out of the world task. There are some experiences that we read today in WhatsApp group. There will be some experiences, but don't fix it on that. Most of the time it will be easy, and you can see like what kind of candidates are getting into Google. You can see from that, like yeah, it's more probable. Like it depends on lucks. It depends on luck, because like I have one female friend. Like she is very good, but like she didn't got very good interviews, and she got rejected two times, just due to being nervous and all, and also due to bad interviews, right? So this stuff happens. Like uh, it depends on your luck. But like same candidate, I know another candidate that like does not have very good skills on lead code, everything. Like other candidate could not even think fast, but like she still got into Google, right? So totally on luck, like I could say that. How much lead code rating? No rating can give you confidence. Like it totally depends on your personal experiences. Like how was your personal, how was your previous interviewers, how were your previous interview experiences before, what kind, how much experience do you have? Totally personal. How do totally, yes, just be from IIT or be a very high rated coder like 2200 plus. Resources for system design. Okay, so system design, I will suggest there are like two Telegram groups. One is like system design interview, another is Hello interview. Hello interview Discord group, not Telegram group. So Hello interview is best because like I have Gaurav Sen courses, I have gone through Arpit Bhayani, I have gone through everything. But most of the thing that like they don't have actual industry experience while developing this stuff, right? They are just covering for the sake of covering, right? They don't have actual experience in building that stuff. But what I saw in Hello Interview was like the people who wrote that blogs took much time to write, and they did much in-depth research on that. Like even like for the Facebook thing, how to build a Facebook thing and all, you could see that exact structure in that every detailed thing, like best solution, optimal solution. It was very good for the Hello Interview. Also, there are like other Discord groups too. Like I will add the link sometime. Remind me for that. Should I join this course? Yeah, everyone should join, bro. Like I would suggest, because like trust me on this, but like uh, I have very detailed analytical understanding of people. So I'm designing a good framework for that. And the more data points I will get from people, like just like today, I have got like various data points. I will try to work on that and prepare some more accordingly. Like that course will be structured up accordingly for that. Uh, 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 could you share your Meta interview experiences? Yeah, so I applied when I was in college. I applied to Meta. I was not selected at that time, but I was selected for Warsaw interview process. At the same time, I guess Raj also applied for Meta. His resume was selected, I guess. Yeah, yeah. So we were working on same timeline, I guess, at that time. That time I was not selected for Meta, but when I got into Google, my resume was selected for Meta also. After that, when I was trying to switch the roles for from Google, but the questions were like specific. Like the one was the two pointer based. Two pointer was something like the 0 1 kind of thing, 0 1 k one. That there are like you can flip once k times, something like that. String validation was around like the integer validation, something like that. It's given that like the 1 e raised to the power minus 6 format or something like that, and you need to validate if that number is valid or not. So edge cases, like there were various edge cases to deal with, and I tried to solve it on how to build logic. Okay, so mathematical intuition and crude logic session on. I will have a session on this. I have 1.5 so my again, it's very hard in India. If you want, like try in other countries like Singapore, how they don't check that like your college background, but they will check your ratings. But like in India, they have very you could say that like cultural issues, that like they want only from IITs for their reputation or brand value. I don't know the exact reason, but I guess this might be the reason. Okay, I will answer some questions from here. Is lead code enough for interview preparation? I guess working on, yeah, like the working hours in quant are high, and they have very work-life balance is very bad there most of the time. Like people say work-life balance is good, but those people are already akin to their work-life pattern. Like we are not like that. We are normal people. What salary from skill? Salary doesn't matter, bro. Like if your life is fucked up, salary doesn't matter. Jordan has low life is good. No, like I don't suggest Jordan has no life. I would suggest first start with Hello Interview, right? And also there is Arpit Bhayani beginner course. I have Telegram link for that, but I guess I have shared with me. Okay, so I will try to add it somewhere. Those Arpit Bhayani beginner course, and just go through concept, because he has taught in very good manner, but like not useful, but like the concepts are good. But the most important one is I forgot the name of that person, but book of that candidate, book of that person is very good. I have that book, but I forgot the name. So in that, the initial requirement for a system design is very explained in very good. But like in also in Hello Interview, I guess there is also in it's very explained in detailed manner, I guess. Yeah, Hello Interview is good overall, I guess. Hello Interview is the winner. Yeah. Yeah. Tag matters a lot. Like Google tag can give you interviews like various companies. Please cover DP graph binary search. I told you, na, like I'm not like the umbrella term for like the graph I'm using, but I'm trying to build logic for you guys now because like there are various session on graph and explaining everything, but that will be the same thing repeating. No, I'm not trying to do that thing. I'm trying to do something different here. So, but obviously, like DP graph will be covered. Even when I'm teaching graph, some kind of DP portion will be covered in graph itself, right? And binary search will be covered in some kind of extended task, but that will not be covered in logical analysis, like logical improvement thing. Graph I'm using as a umbrella term for logical improvement. Does background matters when one like background matters what like political background? What exactly? Uh, like IIT, NIT, or like past companies, or like past doesn't matter, bro. No, I- what does this mean? Does background matters? Like, could you? Yeah, is it possible to replicate a safe work placement within 4 months? How should I approach it? Ah, it is not possible to be honest, but you could do is cover as much as concept possible, like work on some probability sheet that like this task is highly probable to be asked and work on that. Like that's the most optimal way. What is this? Every European companies are like follow the same interview process nowadays. Like there is nothing different that like they will look at your open source code and all. No company does that. Like the all process is same everywhere. That like they have machine coding round, they have LLD round, system design round, DS rounds. Everywhere the process is same mostly. Alexu, when I was preparing for the first time, I was suggested Alexu. I read both books. I also read DDIA. So what happens in Alexu is again, I felt the disconnection that like that person is not that much experienced, but he has provided some framework for candidates that could figure out uh, easily. But when you work on senior roles, you have some experience that that is not very much useful. That could be useful for freshers, but not for seniors. But when you look at hello interview experiences or like the that would that is very in detailed manner. Like it looks like that person have worked on that stuff. Like in what level of DSA is important for no level of DSA. AI is completely different. The maths is completely different. Like it's completely maths basically, but not DSA. I could not promise that, bro. Like this November thing, in December se placement started. I could not promise that, but I will try to point out some resources if you need. Grow in veteran status. What does veteran status mean? Do companies like Google, Meta, Amazon look at your college name? No, no, no company looks at your college name. Only recruiter looks at your college name if they have some bias, but mostly companies don't have some pattern for that. NSUT, acha. I have many friends from NSUT. 7 months Gaurav Sen system design. Gaurav Sen system design is very bad to be honest. I have purchased that course. It's very bad. Like he has tried to cover various topics, but like none of the topics has some depth to it. Like, isn't it best to learn well by system design? There is some kind of what I have read some book, but like when interviews are different, now like you can learn the important concept. Arpit Bhayani works on that. Like he teaches in such a fashion that like it looks like he has worked on that, but like it will not be much helpful in interview purpose for the interview purpose, but it will be actually helpful for actual growth. And he also suggests that like why you should join his session, because like it would help you in developing for like your knowledge. Basically you will improve your knowledge and climb the ladder in corporate. Yeah. Concept and coding LLD course. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, LLD, I'm not sure because like mostly LLD is based on patterns, but like this, my friend suggested me this. Jan, I don't know what's his name exactly. Shreyansh, Shreyansh, I don't know what was his name exactly. But I guess he's famous for LLD. Yeah, Shreyansh Jain. But I think LLD, as far as I know, na, like they will teach you some kind of like patterns. But what happens in actual interview is they give you some kind of task and you need to solve that, right? And the the pattern they taught you in this LLD courses is very different from the actual task. So as far my experience goes, no YouTube channel has helped me for LLD. Like I think it's more like practice based. Like you take a random task and work on that according to your knowledge and experience. Try to implement some patterns. Try to work in time. That will help much more than like this Shreyansh Jain channel. Uh, it's very unlikely to be get as fresher unless it's like Google Meta. They will just reject your resume unless there is a high requirement and they don't have candidates in their country. Like Poland has less candidates in their country, so there is chance that like you could be getting selected as fresher, but like the visa process for Indians is very high. Like the visa waiting time for Indians is very high for Poland. So most of the Google does not select candidates from India for like Poland as of now because like previously there were like shorter waiting times. We like Google had like direct connections to the what is say I don't know what the term is for that. So they have direct connection to them and they just used to provide us appointment for the no not embassy but like there is some person to that handles this stuff. It's not possible. Like even like Google is not. Getting candidates from India. They are getting candidates from Bangladesh, Pakistan, but not India. Too much long waiting time. The best route is go study somewhere and then get selected. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like British citizen living in India, yeah, you could do that. German is good. Yeah. Um, at that time, Poland, they selected like when we got into Poland, na, so that time Poland was about to be developed. They not as a country but like as a Google center because like they purchased a big building there of 31 floors when we got there. Like when I got after 6 months they selected a big building of 31 floors and they were developing everything, so they were hiring much Indians. But after that they noticed that like what Indians do is basically they work for there for 2 years 4 years and they will just switch to India again. So for that rule, they saw the pattern in Indians there, and they tried to. The managers were like less inclined to hire Indians for that role because like other countries, what they do is like they switch there permanently. Like Pakistan, Bangladesh candidates like switch permanently, but like Indians, what Indians do, either they apply to Switzerland, either they apply to US, or just come back to India. Yeah, like that pattern is same for everyone. Like no one wants to stay there for a long time, but there are some people, but not everyone. Cultural issues, everything, because like language issues, like you need to learn Polish, everything. Everyone will be speaking in Polish. Yeah, like most of them will switch. Most of them will be switching after getting promotion. What about Dublin? Dublin, same thing is everywhere. Like this racism, not racism, but like racism is higher in India, I could say, yeah, as compared to other countries. No, no, no. Like usually these people are paid very high amount. Like they could even buy some flat there if they want, but they don't do because like most of them live on yeah lease. We could stop the recording, na here. Like it's very long session if people want to see it again. Like these are very random questions. Who was recording? Sorry, or like the person who was recording already left. Arey, I have already shared. Arey, don't worry. Payment is not an issue for me. Like I am not doing it for money.